Hey people, here's another one out to Amanda. She's been following me for several years and she helps me out. She let me know that karma is a result of not following your dharma, is how it was explained to me. And dharma, and that made it click in my head right there. You know, the Da is said to be the way, the path, and it's the day one, you know, in the creation story. And y'all gonna find this really easy to read here. It's gonna blow your mind what it says. But it's the word it's this word in Genesis 1 on the end of the first day, and it was yum, odd. Well, it starts with A and it reads backwards, da, and it means the way. And that's the first thing you learn is da, the way. And so Dharma is the way to see in. And I just noticed this when I was looking at the top. You know, this is the word they say is Moses. When you find this interpreted somewhere, you know, this is the ancient Torah. And this is the word they say is Moses here. But all through the Bible, they'll take the O out and they'll say this means the work. But, you know, this is the supreme most. The supreme most in receipt. The supremos in receipt in the writings. This is the word that's on the top of this Torah, and they say it's the Torah Baktabal. You know, Tabal is said to mean the word in bunny. But you know, I know all the important words read backwards. And if you read this backwards, it's the, you know, the honorable, be in, take in, take in the root, the R-U-T-E, the honorable, the high, take the high road, the honorable in taking the root. To take the high road, and that's why Da is the first day, to learn your Da, learn your way, learn your path. And then when it reads the back way, you know, it's the honorable, you know, if there's a word in front of us was attack. And all titles of all books, anything that has a line underneath it, I always read it backwards and forwards. There's hidden information in there. But the honorable in taking the root, R-U-T-E, the tour, you know, the tour is when you tour around the world, you know, the route, the tour incuttable, K-T-B-L, incuttable, bun, good, in the good, and then ash is, like I say, ash is the god of Odin. In the good ash, in the good God, Bon, the good God. The honorable take in the root, the Tor, incuttable of good God, incuttable in cuttings, and what cuttings to take off of which trees, and the honorable in take in the root. You don't kill the whole tree when you're trying to take a piece of the root. Be honorable about it. So I'm going to put this in that same folder. But, you know, I was trying to get more information about Asia, A-S-A. And I seen it come up, you know, a different way here, you know, with Evolve Asia at the beginning of this. So I read this chapter. When I got down to this last line, it, you know, it talks about burying Asia. And they got the wrong word in there. You know, this would be more to bury here in cover too. But it talks about the morphes. You know, Murphy's Law. You know, every time a word doubles like that, Murphy's, in Murphy, they always say the first one is very. Except this time it's prepared ointments in the morphine, the morphes. And so this starts to Wiff Brew. You remember the other one, it started with the Wiff Brew, except it didn't have the E in there. This is to Wiff, W-I-F-B-R-E-W, to Wiff Brew. in cover, QVRTIW, in cover to. To Wiff the Brew, in cover to. Raise. And so you're raising the cover to get a whiff of the brew. You might do that when you're making moonshine. You put all your corn and sugar in a 5-gallon bucket, and you let it brew in that bucket like beer. You let it brew for a while, and you lift the cover and to get a whiff of it to see if it's ready to put in your distill, see if it's ready for distillation. And that's what that says, the Wiff Brew, WIFBREW. The Wiff Brew, in cover, QVRTIW. In cover to raise, care, KRA. Be careful. Care will to, WLW. Backwards and forwards. The care will to. In air, NOIR, AIR. In air, divide. Who shake in who? In muskin. Musk is your sweat and your stink in musk. And so you don't want, when you're brewing wine, you don't want to get the wrong yeast in there. And there's yeast in your musk. And you got to be careful not to get, because if you get the wrong yeast in there, you're not brewing wine, you're brewing vinegar. You got to make sure you use the right yeast. There's only about 3-4 different types of yeast you use for brewing. And so you don't let the musk get in there. In musk, in raise, mala, from fill, like tamale, mala, to fill. In some is, using is, UZNIS, using is, with various ingredients. What in some is using is, morphis, metamorphosis. The meta is from within, and the morphis is to change. The morphis to change. To using is to change. If you get the wrong musk in your brew, you're going to be brewing vinegar. The morph is in morphit, and will morph it. And most, that's what I was saying. This is the word, every time it comes up, they say that this means and made. Anything with an OSE, they'll say and created and made and did. But this is the first word they say is Moses on the front of the Torah. The mixture. In morphit, most of the yeast that's just flying around the air. Yeast is everywhere. There's all kind of yeast that you're breathing all the time. And in the cover, and to Wiff Brew, in cover to raise, care will to, in air divide. Don't let, that's why you have those bubblers that go on your brew bottle when you're brewing beer or wine, and it goes through a little bubbler and it keeps the air from going in there and getting the wrong yeast in there. Who shake making who? In muskin. The raised fill, and so you don't leave a lot of air space when you're brewing. You don't have a lot of air space. You fill it all the way up to the top, not so high that it's going to get in your bubble and stop up your bubbler, because it'll blow up. But you don't keep a lot of air space. The more air space you have in there, the better chances are you have a bad vinegar in there or a bad yeast in there. In some is, you see the little dots on the opposite side, instead of this, in when it says heavens, and the same is, but this is in some is. Using is the morphis. Murphy's Law. If it can go wrong, it will go wrong. Murphy's. In morph it, and we'll morph it into vinegar. And most of them yeast will turn your wine into vinegar. Who serp to? Who serp to? Serp means to use all your sugar up and make vinegar instead of wine. Then backwards and forwards after the tack. Will us rape Godel? Godel means to screw. If you let the wrong yeast in there, they're going to serp your mixture and will us rape gold or rape screw. Aw damn of mad. O-D. Aw damn of mad is what you're going to be when you go to taste it, and it's all vinegar. So this is going to help me get a better definition on this gold. You know, I looked it up once. I think it was just the GDL, or it may have been the GDUL, and it was said to mean screw. But this is going to give it a better idea, and it's possibly the screw as in the tower in the distillery. But I'm going to find other places it's spelt like it's going to be a better idea of what it means. And so Gary says I set him on a search for Hume on that last movie, where I told you I looked it up and it just totally disappeared. I couldn't find it on Google again the next day. So the old spelling is Hulme. And that tells me a lot about this, because when you look at how do you pronounce Hume, you don't pronounce the L. And you can see here H-E-W-M, Hume, whom is the way it was spelled, H-U-M-E, whom, home. But you can see it here, you know, home is derived from Old Norse word for a small island or land surrounded by water or marsh. And, you know, they'd find a place where there's a river on each side when they were going to raid something. You know, they would use that for their home base, and that's where home come from. And so that's a Norse raider's home, is a Hume, is a land between two rivers. And so this is the home, you know, the land between the two rivers. This land between two rivers. Alright, I'm going to cut this off here. Good day.